Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day today. My name's Cody and I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. I haven't grown any of this before, so it's going to be super fun to see how it turns out. If you want to follow along throughout the summer as we grow, feel free to subscribe to the channel there. I'm going to be doing updates with our medicinal garden here all throughout the summer from sowing, which is today, all the way through to harvest and everything in between. This time of year it can be extremely busy with everything that we're trying to do. Right now we're potting up all of our perennial flowers for sale for this summer. We are doing a lot of seeding, which can take a lot of time. It also takes up a lot of the shelf space too under our grow lights. But seeding is a really important thing to get done, especially if you want to extend your growing season. So today I have 20 different medicinal herbs that I plan to get started today so that we can grow them out in the field come this summertime. So today I just want to go through the 20 herbs that I'm growing, medicinal herbs here, and take you along on that journey with me. So let's get to planting. Anytime that you want to seed something early inside, it's always good to make sure you start off with the right ingredients. So what I've got here are my plastic cell trays. These ones are 6 cell trays, so they're a bit bigger than the 3x3. These are 3x2. But the potting mix, what you put in there is super, super important. So if you were to put, say, just soil that you have outside in your yard, like scoop a yard, garden soil into here, oftentimes that's really mineral heavy, and what's going to end up happening is a lot of compaction, and your seedling isn't going to have the best opportunity to germinate. So I'd always recommend that you do a high quality potting mix, and if you can find a seed starting mix, that's even better. It's just a seed starting mix, you're going to have a lot more of a finer substrate, whereas potting mix, sometimes you might end up with a little bit of bark in there just to help retain a bit of moisture. It's the harder for the seedlings to germinate, not the end of the world. Potting mix or specifically seed starting mix is going to be perfect either way you do it. The next thing to make sure you do is have a flood tray. A tray like this that holds these cells in place. It makes it easier to move them around your grow space. That way I can get 2, 4, 6, 8 of these little trays, or cell packs rather, into a tray. It's a lot easier to handle. Also, when we come to put the humidity dome over top, it's easier because it just is made to fit this tray itself. So keeping the moisture in there, keeping it humid, keeping it warm, all things that are important for our seedlings to germinate, just makes it easier. The last thing that's super important too is it's easier to water. So you can bottom water your seedlings, which is a really good thing to do. Sometimes if you come with water on the top, if it's cold tap water, it might shock the little seedling. Sometimes the water can flatten the seedling, and then it actually gets buried under some of the soil as the water is draining out. So if you bottom water, it's super easy. You just pour a bit of water in the bottom, like the name suggests. You put your your cell pack back in there, and the water will soak up from the bottom. That does a couple of things. It saves the seedlings from being shocked so much with direct watering, but it also forces the roots to search downward for water. So you end up with a more robust root system, which is a really good thing while you have the seedlings in your germination start. One of the last considerations when we are dealing with any type of seeding is the depth of the seed. How deep do you want it in the soil to get it started? And a good rule of thumb is always, 2 to 5 times the width of the seed is how deep you want it. So I always like to say in your mind, it doesn't matter if you use centimeters or inches, but if that seed is 1 centimeter or 1 inch wide, then that means that you want it at least 2 to 5 centimeters or inches deep. And that should just be a good rule of thumb that you keep in the back of your mind. So that way, if you're dealing with something like, say like a carrot seed, which is very, very tiny, you can always remember that you don't want it too deep. Sometimes just sprinkling a light layer of soil over top of that carrot seed is enough. Other times you have a bigger seed, think of like a pea, for example, or a bean. Those are quite larger. If you put a bean on top of the soil and just sprinkled it lightly with some potting mix or whatever, it's going to have a bit more harder time to germinate because that root isn't maybe fully contacted by soil. So if you go down a bit for that larger seed, it's going to root in a lot better. So the first medicinal herb I'm going to be doing today is milk thistle. It is an annual white striped leaves there with tall purple flowers, and they are traditionally used for liver tonic. So I'm going to get into this package here. There we go. And these seeds are quite large. So they remind me a lot like an artichoke. I don't know if you can see that or not, but these seeds are quite large. So I would say they're probably, centimeter and a half, 3 or 4 centimeters deep on these guys, just to make sure that they have a nice, fully contacted, medium moist soil around them. So that's going to help them grow. Alright, so we've talked about soil, about water, you guys know all of that already, so it's not, it's just a bit of a review here. So the last thing to do is actually get the seed into your cell. Now for larger seeds like this, I like to do probably just one seed per cell. There's a good chance that these seeds will grow anyway, and if they don't, that's not a big problem. For smaller seeds, you know, it's okay to sow a few seeds per cell, just as the plant starts to clump up and grow a little bit easier that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys started. Now, it's easy to lose the seed sometimes in the mix. So I'm just going to place a seed. I always like to aim for the middle. That way I have a really good reference point anytime I need to go back and maybe search for a lost seed. Popping one right in the middle there. So once I have the seed placed in the middle, all I do is I take my little dibbler here. And now these seeds are quite robust, so it's not going to be as critical. Some of the smaller seeds, say like a tomato or a pepper, sometimes, you know, they're a little bit more fragile. So if you were to take your dibbler and poke the seed directly to try to sink it into the soil, you might end up damaging that seed. So what I always like to do is come just in front of the seed. So we're zoomed in here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. Sometimes they can be pretty easy to lose. Just some of the substrate looks very similar to the seed. So like I say, I always try to place a seed in a place where you remember a good place to look. So I always try to shoot for the middle. Now, what I like to do is with my dibbler is I'll make a little, well, I'll push right directly in front of the seed, not on it, just in front of it, and come down. And what you do is you create a little pocket for that seed to fall into. And then you can just come back and gently pack it down. So I'm not pushing directly on the seed, just in front of it to create a little pocket for the seed to fall into. That way I don't risk damaging the seed. After I got the seeds poked in, I like to give them a little bit of a spray. Now I talked about this in my tomato video. It's not crucial at this point to water them in. I'm not doing this to water the seedling in, or the seed rather. I'm doing it because some of the substrate is dry, it's light, it's airy. Sometimes seeds can be dry, light, and airy. And if you're working in an environment, say with a fan on or whatever, sometimes it can blow the substrate and the seeds away. So I like to spray them with water, and that makes sure that the top layer of soil anyway stays nice and combined and locked together. Just so I don't run the risk of potentially losing any seeds to, you know, the wind. After you have all the seeds dibbled in and they're nice and locked in with that top mist here, always super important to label your seeds, just so you don't lose track of what you've got. So these ones are milk thistle. I am going to put that here. And now these 4 will be milk thistles. Up next on our list is motherwort. So motherwort is a member of the mint family. And its seed is quite small. Reminds me a lot of mint, which not surprising. There we go. So now motherwort is used a lot for, say, like heart conditions and things like that. Also helps to reduce anxiety. So these seeds are quite a bit smaller, as you can see. So I'm going to sow probably a few per cell. And that's a good rule of thumb for smaller seeds. So I'm just going to take a little pinch and just gently sprinkle a few on each cell here. So if we're thinking back to our 2 to 5 times rule for the depth of these seeds are very, very tiny. So they are not going to go near as deep as the milk thistle, simply because the seed doesn't have really enough energy to push through, 5 centimeters worth of potting mix to get up. Smaller seeds mean that there is smaller energy, less energy stored, so there is less chance for the seedling to really do well if they get buried too deep. So for these little guys, what I would recommend to do is just to slightly disturb the soil just a little bit. Not much, just enough to create a little bit of some drop space for those seeds to fall into. Now when we come back over and spray them with our spray bottle, what that's going to do is lock those seeds in place. Seeds like this is why it's important to think about spraying them down when we're planting, just so that we don't lose track. Because right now, I know I sprinkled a packet of seeds in here, but I'm having a really hard time seeing where those seeds are. And all it takes is one blow from the fan and they're all gone. So you might think you've got, say, bad germination, but it could just be that the seeds aren't even there to begin with. So let's just agitate this top layer a little bit. Beautiful. Now I'll give them a quick spray. And our always important tag. So our tag goes on there. And we're all set. Next on our list is horehound. So let's get into this one. Another very tiny seed, but that's okay. We're just going to do the exact same thing that we did last time. So we'll get into our hand here. There we go. And now we're just going to sprinkle a few seeds on top of our cells. Now, horehound is really good for digestive issues and things along those lines. So anything with the GI tract is a really good plant to help out with those areas. Our next one here is valerian. Now, valerian is really good as a sleep aid. So if you have trouble sleeping, it's not a bad option for you. Now, what you're looking for on the valerian, mostly anyway, is the root of the plant. In warmer climates, it can be grown as a perennial, but in our climate, it's just an annual, which is fine. It just means you have to start from seed every year. That's not the end of the world. If you start them early, though, you've got a good chance of getting a good sized root for your trouble. So definitely worthwhile to get it started early. So next we have wood bentony. It is used in traditional European medicine as an anti-inflammatory. There we go. Pretty small seed as well. So we're going to do the same as before. Just give each cell a little sprinkle. Try to aim right for that middle spot. And then after, we will come back and scruff up the soil. We are on to St. John's chamomile. Now, not necessarily a medicinal herb in the sense that it does anything, but the flower petals are edible, and it's a really good hardy perennial that will self-seed itself year over year. So carefree for me in the long run. But let's get it seeded. Our next seed here is German chamomile. Now, this is used to reduce inflammation. It can also help to speed up wound healing and reduce muscle spasms. There we go, very, very tiny seed there. It can also be used as a mild sedative. Now we have the sticky gumweed seed here. Now, this plant was used by the native North Americans for a lot of different reasons. The sticky secretion, it can help relieve asthma and bronchitis, and it can also be used for colic. Boiling the leaves and the flower tops can relieve saddle sores and raw skin. So if you've got rashes or those sorts of things, it was also consumed as a tea. Next here we have mullein. Now, this seed is microscopic. Reminds me a lot of poppy seed. Very, very small there. Now, mullein is used for whooping cough, tuberculosis, bronchitis, hoarseness, pneumonia, earaches, colds, chills, flus, fever, allergies, tonsillitis, and a sore throat. You can also use it for asthma or diarrhea if you've got colic, gastrointestinal bleeding, migraines, and joint pain. So it has a really wide use range of benefits there. Here's another tiny, tiny seeded one. I'm not going to pour them all out just because they're so tiny. You can see them there, the little black dots. This is St. John's wort. Now, it's really good helping to reduce symptoms of depression. It can also help with menopausal symptoms as well. You can also apply it topically for wound healing. Okay, this next one, I'm going to butcher the name of it here, but I believe it's called white agastache. Is that the right word? Small seed there. It's very rich in polyphenol antioxidants. It's been used in Asia to help cure or treat cancer, cholera, digestive issues, fever, headaches, cold, indigestion, abdominal pain, poor appetite, and fever due to heat stroke. It's also an antiviral and anti-inflammatory, and is used for respiratory issues as well. Really good all-around plant. Up next on our list here is wormwood. There we go, tiny, tiny seed there. Wormwood is used for various digestive problems. So if you've got loss of appetite or an upset stomach, wormwood is really, really good for that. Next we have the mullein plant. Well, I guess it's its seed, really. Is it mullein there? It's really good at expelling mucus from the body. So you can use it when you're coughing, and it helps the body to bring up more of the mucus that might be sitting in your chest or throat. It has also been used as an anti-inflammatory. Next we have blue vervain. go, blue vervain. Now it can help with your headache and pain relief. It also is really good for detoxification, and it helps to stimulate digestion. Another thing that you can use it for is it helps to improve breast milk production. It can also calm the nerves and mood swings. Here we have mugwort. Mugwort there. So people can take mugwort as a tonic, the root anyway is a tonic, to help boost energy. You can also take the rest of the plant to help stomach and intestinal conditions, including colic, diarrhea, constipation, cramps, weak digestion issues. So anything to do with your GI tract there. Now I'm absolutely going to butcher the name of this one. It is ashwagandha. That is guaranteed not how you pronounce that. I'm really looking forward to growing this one. Right off the bat, the seeds remind me of eggplant almost, eggplant seeds. Also similar to pepper or tomato almost there. Now this one is going to be a tender plant here, so it's not going to be a perennial in our growing zone, but people use it to help calm the brain and can reduce swelling, lower blood pressure, and alter the immune system. It has many uses, mostly related to around stress and de-stressing. Now we have marshmallow. So traditionally this was the plant that created what we have now as marshmallows. You boil the root of this with, I think it's sugar and egg whites, and that's what marshmallow would be. But you can use it as a herbal plant here as well. It can help decrease cough and can fight infections. Next we have Ellen Campaign. There we go. Good little seed there. It is used to treat coughs associated with bronchitis. Next we have meadowsweet. There's a great little plant here. So meadowsweet can also help release pain associated with that cold and flu by having an aspirin-like effect on the body. Here we go. Up next we have feverfew. Tiny little seed there, but that's okay. Now feverfew is a medicinal plant that's traditionally used for the treatment of fevers. It can also help with migraines, headaches, arthritis, stomach aches, toothaches, insect bites, all sorts of different things. There we go, guys. We got 20 different medicinal herbs all seeded and put into their little containers to start growing here. So last year I grew a little bit of calendula, and I was able to save the flowers and then play around with it a little bit. We made some calendula oil, which I still need to turn into some hand salve. The L is silent, hand salve, right? So it's just been really fun kind of growing different things, not necessarily to eat or to look pretty, but to help you medicinally. So I'm really excited this year. I haven't grown any of this before, so it's going to be super fun to see how it turns out. And yeah, I think the idea of growing stuff that you can use medicinally for yourself, whether it's for digestion issues, maybe it's, some pain reduction, helping with fevers, or even if it's just a really nice tea, I think that's a really cool thing to do. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this goes. If you want to follow along throughout the summer as we grow, feel free to subscribe to the channel there. I'm going to be doing updates with our medicinal garden here all throughout the summer, from sowing, which is today, all the way through to harvest and everything in between, what it takes to grow these things and how it's going to go for that sort of thing. So yeah, like I say, feel free to subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on when we're doing those sorts of things. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I want to thank everyone so much for watching today. It was a bit of a different video, but I'm trying to do this midweek video where it's not like a vlog style, it's more of like a project style, so I don't know how that's going, but I might start adding that more into the routine here. We're getting really busy now that we're moving into springtime. Planting and seeding and potting is taking up a lot of my time. All those other little projects too, it's nice to kind of just be able to hit them hard and get them done quick. So yeah, that's where we're going to leave it today, guys. But I want to thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, whatever it is that you get up to for the rest of the day, guys, I hope you have a great day. So take care, and until next time, we'll see you later. Have a great night, guys.